Hi, this is Jason Sackett, Employee Assistance Professional with the USC Center for Work and Family Life. Today, I bring you the disarming technique. Disarming is a way to handle people who confront you in an angry, hostile, provoking, disrespectful, or generally unreasonable manner, but without becoming defensive, avoidant, or counterattacking. The goal of disarming is to diffuse the energy of the person confronting you, then to move the discussion in a more productive direction. Disarming may feel unnatural when you first try it, because it involves responding to attacks with counterintuitive behaviors, including thanking a person for confrontational behavior, finding some truth in the criticism, validating an aggressor's feelings, giving that person undeserved credit, or accepting more responsibility for a situation than you might deserve. Why would I want to do this, you ask? Because it works. With disarming, people who confront you never anticipate such paradoxical answers, so your technique throws them off balance, neutralizes their aggressive energy, and diminishes their ability to further attack you. At this point, you have a much greater chance of putting the conversation on a positive path. We will now demonstrate the disarming technique on 3 relatively common criticisms: appearance, competence, and likability.
Where'd you get that coat? A garage sale? We try to maintain a professional appearance in this office, if you hadn't heard.
Let's just agree that criticizing a colleague's appearance in this manner is pretty bush league. Most likely, she is trying to gain power over me, either by intimidating me into submission or by provoking me to react with anger or defensiveness. I have something else in mind.
Where'd you get that coat? A garage sale? We try to maintain a professional appearance in this office, if you hadn't heard.
Lisa, thank you for being the first person to actually say that out loud. I've been wondering if my appearance was up to par, and so far you're the first person to give me any feedback about it, and I appreciate that. Clearly, I'm not meeting the standard, and I'm sorry that bothers you. Since you did me the favor of bringing it up, maybe you could give me some feedback about how I could improve?
Maybe just get it sized down to fit a little better.
Notice how thanking my colleague for speaking up and praising her for giving me the opportunity to improve catches her so off guard that suddenly she is the one who feels awkward and submissive. After offering a basic suggestion, she can't exit the conversation fast enough, so I maintain my dignity and power in the relationship.
How could you work here so long and still be so clueless?
Attacks on competence are not always about power. Sometimes people have unrealistic expectations about their coworkers' capabilities and simply communicate their frustrations poorly. Watch how my response lowers Jeff's frustration level so he can talk to me more constructively.
How could you work here so long and still be so clueless?
What a relief.
What?
Yeah, what a relief it is to finally get some performance feedback around here. Look, I want to do a good job, and I don't want you or anybody else here to be frustrated with me. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a complete grasp on everything that I do, and, well, since you were honest enough to bring it up, how would you suggest that I improve my knowledge or skills?
Well, for starters, you could take a look at learning the database better. It's important that we're all well versed in it, and if we aren't up to speed on it, it could affect quality of service.
Great suggestion. How do you propose that I get started on doing that?
Well, consider blocking out some time to meet with our administrative assistant. She could give you some tips on it.
I will do that. Thank you. When you use disarming, you make a commitment to focusing on people's frustration rather than their rude style. In this situation, I could jump directly into asking Jeff for improvement suggestions, but if I did that, his emotions would still be running high, and he might come at me with more insults. Instead, I used the immediately disarming statement, "What a relief," just to throw him off balance. Then, I joined with his value of high-quality service delivery and validated his frustration with perceiving me as performing below par. Then, having neutralized some of his anger, I was able to redefine his label of clueless to not having a complete grasp on certain tasks, which is more accurate and far less damaging. Finally, I thanked him for his honesty and reframed his initial criticism into a willingness to help me, but I did not reinforce his rude style, which became more appropriate as the conversation progressed.
Maybe you should just think about your future here. People just don't like you.
Such vague, hostile, and threatening messages occur with regularity in the workplace. Since he already has authority, John doesn't need to intimidate or provoke me to gain power. So what is his motivation? Apparently, he wants to make me feel bad, so I leave quietly. If he had cause to terminate me, he would have done so without opening up this uncomfortable dialogue, and if he wanted me to improve my demeanor, he would have offered some practical suggestions. How will I ever talk my way out of this one?
Maybe you should just think about your future here. People just don't like you.
Yeah, you're right. I get that sometimes. People have told me that I have a unique personality and strong opinions, and I realize that demeanor is important, and in spite of me being reliable or good at what I do, if it makes people uncomfortable, then the office atmosphere can suffer, and I don't want that to happen. I really respect you and appreciate you being so frank with me. I know this is not an easy or comfortable topic to bring up. But since you did, I was wondering, if you have any suggestions on how I might get back in the good graces of my colleagues. If so, I'm all ears.
Like you said, you have strong opinions, which you're entitled to have. You just don't have to express them all the time during staff meetings.
I really appreciate that feedback. I'm starting to realize how being too outspoken is creating problems around here. So if I expressed fewer opinions or toned down my emotions when I did make them known, you think that would make a difference?
I think it would be a good start, yes.
Well, thank you again, and I will be paying close attention to how I relate to people in this office. My supervisor started this discussion with the hope that I would simply leave, based on the beliefs that my demeanor is poor and that I am unable or unwilling to improve it. As always, I started with an initial disarming statement. You're right, people have told me that before. Followed by a validation of his concerns about my demeanor and a final acknowledgement of his difficult task of having to confront me. All this disarming not only diffuses John's hostile energy, but it also debunks his premise that I lack the ability or motivation to improve my interpersonal style. And just like that, he moves from wanting me to leave to making helpful performance improvement suggestions. Let's review. Disarming is a technique you can use to make conversations healthier and more productive by carefully neutralizing a person's negative energy. You start with an initial disarming statement, including any of the following. What a relief. You're right. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate the feedback. Thank goodness someone finally said that out loud. It's refreshing to hear someone who actually speaks his or her mind. People tell me that sometimes. After throwing the aggressor off balance with one of these statements and buying yourself some time, you can follow with an acknowledgement or validation of that person's concerns, or at least with an alignment of goals, such as, yes, I agree. I want to maintain a professional appearance in the office too. At this point, most people will be sufficiently disarmed, and you can begin to redefine their words, ask for suggestions, or begin a problem-solving dialogue. Finally, if you want to address the other person's rudeness or hostility, you can always do so in a follow-up conversation. More likely, though, when you handle situations like that with such grace, the person will usually apologize later for the incivility.